Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So if you are following in this series, so far we have done the 10 things I'm thankful for in the first episode, the 3 summer goals in the second episode, and today we're going to do wings. I love this one because it's all about motivation and allowing yourself to fly. And I think that most of the time we forget that we already have wings. So this one is going to be a mindful meditation painting butterflies, of course. Why? Because we do all have wings and we need to remember that. So let's write on this sheet a little saying that I saw on the internet that is so amazingly true and something that I think we should always be reminded of every single day. It goes a little something like this: your wings already exist. All you have to do is fly. I love this. I think it's just such a great thing to do for today's gratitude journal. And if you're following along with me in this journal, I hope you're enjoying it so far. I have so many ideas for it. As you know, I'm doing it on 100% cotton watercolor paper. I also have made on this channel a travel journal or accordion style journal for one of my granulating water classes. This class is available and really cool to take if you like these kinds of watercolors. And if you want to make this journal, this is a perfect thing to make this journal to use. It's got 30 pages from one sheet of paper, and there is a video on how to do it without any glue or sewing. Of course, I do have another video for you up if you want to learn to make the traditional style journal using your own watercolor pad, which I did arches. I've also done Waterford and done Anamula. But this one turns out really well. We made this for the watercolor journaling class for beginners, which is linked up in the bio if you'd like to take it, because it is a fun class if you're just getting started with lots of really great ideas for your daily journal. All right, so this is a 4 series, like I said, and this one is wings. So taking my oh my gosh, I can't talk today. Tintorito brush. I love this one. This is a size 8. Let's choose a base color for our watercolor. And then on top of it, we're going to work in layers. I'm thinking blue because I have my Roman schmals out and I've been really having so much fun with all of the different paint colors that I have from the set. This is the wood box set, but I also added additional colors to the bottom. And in doing that, I have been able to explore some amazing watercolor that I would have missed out on, and I'm so happy that I did. I really love this color ocean blue, but I'm thinking of using that in the butterfly wing. So I was going to go a little lighter to begin with. So I thought this royal blue is something I really haven't used yet in this set at all. So let's go ahead and see what it's like. So I'm going to add a lot of water because I don't want to go too thick with it. And on dry paper, I believe this has a bit of opaqueness to it. It does. So we're just going to do one very thin layer as a wash. Now this time, as opposed to last time, I'm not going to tape the borders because I'm not really planning on doing a lot at the border like I did on this one. Hopefully it will remain smooth as long as I just keep a nice even wash going through. So in this area where I hit first and it's already starting to dry, I'm just going to swipe back and forth just to clear away any of those watermarks. Then adding a little more water. I can see this color is granulating. What a gorgeous color this is. I can't believe I've never used this before. There's still so many colors in my kits that I have not even attempted to use. But this is a perfect base color for skies. It's kind of like a lavender blue. It's really gorgeous. Actually, come to think about it, I think this is the lavender blue. I think I chose the wrong color because my kit's upside down. But you know what? This happy accident is lovely. It is the lavender. Okay, so let's go back. So this is actually Lavender 227. I meant to use the royal blue, but my kit is flipped upside down and I didn't notice. But I'm so happy I did because this is another color I've never ever used. So this is lavender. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful it is. Can you see this? It's actually granulated and it's just gorgeous. There's almost like there's a little bit of a pink in the granulation. So with granulating colors, and I'm doing a granulating watercolor class if you want to learn to work with granulating colors, it's really interesting just to kind of let them settle using the water on the paper. But I find that in the last 5 minutes of dry time is when you see the most interesting effects. I'm just going to clean up the edge a little bit with a little clean water and a synthetic flat brush. Usually pretty easy to clean up just by erasing it, really. Clean water and just wiping it off on a towel. You're never really stuck on watercolor as much as you think you are, unless you're using very cheap paper and very cheap watercolors that are super, super staining. Most watercolor, especially in the professional ranges, most of them are semi-staining or non-staining, and they allow you to be very forgiving. So you can kind of go back and delete any mistakes, even remove color. All right, so let's let this dry. And then we will come back and add another layer with my little butterflies. Okay, so now that this is dry, we are going to do some really cool butterflies. So here's our samples. Now for this one, I'm actually using a combination of colors. I'm using the Mineral Violet from Roman Schmal. And I'm using one of my favorite colors called Ocean Blue, also from Roman Schmal. That comes in the wood box set. Then for the bottom one, I'm using the really gorgeous, gorgeous Quin Fuchsia. A little bit of Manganese Violet. And topping it off with just a bit of the Mineral Violet. And you wouldn't believe how easy these really are to do. So first, just starting with my size 8, or you can use a smaller brush too if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and use a size 8, even on this little thing here. I'm going to start with the Ocean Blue on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to put one little dot there. Then I'm going to drag and add a tiny little tail just like that. So simple. Getting a lot of water on my brush. Now we're going to do these swooping designs. So whether you start at the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter. Just angle your paper so that you can start with the tip. I'm going to, let's see, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and coming out of the bottom, I just want to do a great big teardrop, and it's kind of just like laying my brush down just like that. And then going up to the second layer here, coming out of a very similar area, again, laying the brush down and just dragging it. And I'm not even finishing that topper because I think that's really pretty. Now, partially rinsing my brush out, I'm going to dip it into my Mineral Violet, and I'm going to do that final swoop. So this time starting a little easier because I'm right-handed, just at the top, lay my brush down and coming back into the body. So I kind of have like a mix of those colors. Then I can go back with what's left on the brush and just add a little bit of color here. And the water is pretty much going to do the rest. Isn't that beautiful? Let's rinse our brush out, dry it a little bit, grab a little more of that beautiful turquoise and add it to the butterfly wing at the bottom, just so I have that lovely, lovely mix. Now, if you're going to write over this, then you might want to lighten it just a bit, but I don't want to like really take too much out. I just want to give myself a little room to write. So I'm taking a clean brush, wiping it off on a rag and imagining where I want to write, and I'm just drawing back just a little bit of that color, leaving it really nice and strong at the base. And all that does is just give me some writing space so that I don't have to switch from black ink and go to white ink, although white ink would go right over your watercolor. So if you decide to let this dry and it is really dark and you're like, how am I going to let all the words show? All you have to do is just use white gel ink, and that works fine. I actually like pulling back some of the color because it just has, I don't know, I think it adds something to it. And then I can go back in and strike in a few little minor details here, maybe a little bit more color in just a few areas, and I can disperse it out with a bit of color and a bit of water, and that just highlights that second wing. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, let's go to the next one. So I'm going to be using the Quin Fuchsia, putting a good amount on my brush like that, and water. We're going to go ahead and start with the base. So this time the middle of the butterfly is going to be kind of straight out to us. So just a little body and a little tail. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this upper petal. So a nice big wing. Just like that, connected into the body. And another great big wing over here. Again, you don't have to be obsessive. They don't have to be exactly perfect. I actually think that imperfect butterflies look amazing and draw the eye more than anything else, so don't try and shape it too much. Taking more of your fuchsia, I'm going to come down here and paint some lower parts, and again here. Going to dry off just a little bit and go to my manganese violet. Manganese violet is a granulating color, so starting a little stronger, I'm going to reinforce the body a bit and go over those lower wings, just the lower portions. Rinse my brush out, and now we're going to go to the mineral violet. So I want kind of like this amount of mineral violet, and I'm just going to pull the upper part of the wing together. You can overlap, you can leave areas of white if you like, you can do whatever you want to, just kind of go with the flow. Isn't that pretty? Now as this dries, all you have to do is, and you can kind of force dry it a little bit just by dabbing it out, grabbing your mineral violet and painting back in your body. And this is a great thing to do if, you know, the water just kind of gets away from you a little bit. Grabbing a nice amount of my Quin Fuchsia, I'm going to connect the wing out here and just give it a little more of a detail and color. And then going on the bottom, drying my brush slightly, grabbing some of that mineral violet. And just giving it just a little more pop of color. I'm also going to highlight where these two wings separate. Let's fill this in just a bit. Now, like I did before, just to lighten it and encourage the dry shift to be a little bit lighter, I'm taking a clean brush and I'm swiping back in just a couple of areas. And this is just so that when I go to write over it, I'm able to really see things. I also like to do this just to define where the body is. It's just something that watercolor allows us to do, and I really like those areas that are a little more watermarked in my watercolors. This is a great way to do it after the fact if you see that it's drying and it just doesn't have the effect because maybe you didn't have the space. There we go. All right, we have done it. So beautiful. So now if you want to go back in and take some more of your ocean color, I have a Princeton script brush. And so if my lower wing is meeting this upper wing, then sometimes what happens is you can see them and it's transparent. So I can get at that transparency just by adding a little line around here. And it kind of looks like it's a little more transparent. Then I can pull that back just a bit. Color it in just to encourage that lovely color. And of course, you don't have to do this step. This is just something I like. It's kind of like watermarking. Depending on the watercolor, it will either leave some details or not. This one is actually really cool because I can kind of vein in some details. Just some little strips of color into the veins of the beautiful butterfly. This little area here that has a little bit less color, I'm just going to dab some color into the base because I really want to see what it does. And I feel like it just kind of injects a little more into that body. And then I'm going to do the same here with a little bit of the Quin Fuchsia. I just find it just makes it look even more interesting in the butterfly. Now remember, before you take your black pen over this, make sure everything is completely dry. All right, thanks for joining me, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Come back again soon as we do our final piece in this series.